Justice for Yu Menglong. This is the outcry of people of conscience across the world. At last, traces of the real suspects have begun to surface. China's top circles are scrambling to bury the story. But more hidden secrets are about to come to light. Welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. First, let me thank all of you for the recognition and encouragement after our last episode. All your comments, one line appeared again and again. Justice for Yu Menglong. Yes, that is the cry that people inside and outside of China most want to raise today. The authorities never imagined that this pure and kind young man could touch the hearts of hundreds of millions around the world. His tragedy has become a rallying point. It may well turn into a spark for a new era of demands for fairness and accountability. Today, we continue to investigate the truth. The title of this episode is exactly that cry from the people. Justice for Yu Menglong. Let's begin with two short clips that recently slipped past censors and spread overseas. In one, you can clearly hear the gang cursing and beating Yu Menglong. In the other, a recording captures their cruel abuse. His heart-wrenching screams shaking everyone who listens. The outrage has not faded. The Chinese government has launched what observers call the harshest blackout in the history of the internet in China. Yet the scale of attention tells its own story. Online views connected to Yu's case have already approached 20 billion. Even under such pressure, the authorities are still pressing down with every tool they have. Why? Because some of the perpetrators are believed to be directly tied to the highest levels of power, possibly relatives of Politburo Standing Committee members. Only that would explain such unprecedented suppression. For more than a week, suspicions centered on Cai Qi, a director rumored to be linked to a top-ranking official, Cai Qi. But new evidence suggests otherwise. According to the latest leaks, the true connection lies elsewhere. The real suspect is another figure with the same surname, Cai Qi. When we place his photo side by side with senior leader Cai Qi, the resemblance is striking. Digging deeper, we find that almost no personal information about Cai Qi is available, especially regarding his parents. That silence itself speaks volumes. Cai Qi was born in 1996 in Fuzhou City, Fujian Province. The official biography says only that he came from a civil servant family. Yet in 1996, Cai Qi was already serving in Fujian's provincial office at a high level. 3 clues line up: their facial similarity, their shared birthplace, and their surname. In China, even children born outside marriage often carry the father's name. Together, these details strongly suggest a close relationship. Even more telling, Cai Qi's original name was Cai Zhengjun, literally politics and military, a name that itself hints at a father holding a senior office. Cai Qi's publicly acknowledged son, Cai Erjin, already serves in a senior government post. That makes it very likely that Cai Qi was born to a mistress, explaining why his family records remain shrouded in secrecy. Cai Qi's career offers further proof. Immediately after graduating in 2017, he landed a starring role in a high-budget TV drama, working with famous actors from day one. In China's entertainment industry, such a leap is nearly impossible without extraordinary backing. Despite this privilege, Cai Qi's mediocre looks and lack of acting ability kept him from true stardom. But whenever netizens speculated about his ties to Cai Qi, the posts vanished within seconds. His social media now blocks comments entirely, and even searching for his name yields no results. These signs point not to innocence, but to fear. Why then did suspicion initially fall on Cai Qi? According to insiders, this was part of Zhong Nanhai's deliberate strategy. Given the explosive impact of the case, the leadership staged 3 waves of scapegoats to confuse the public and shield the real culprit. First wave, 6 figures from the film industry. Second wave, a list of 17 names but never fully disclosed. Third wave, director Cai Qi, rumored to be Cai Qi's son. But behind all 3 waves was the final name, Cai Qi. Only someone protected by a top-level leader could escape accountability. How did the man behind the curtain respond as suspicions grew? Cai Qi is not just another official. He sits at the very heart of the party's machinery. A current Politburo Standing Committee member, head of the Secretariat, director of the General Office, and overseer of propaganda through the cyberspace administration, his reach extends into every corner of Beijing's political life. Few figures today have such direct access to the nerve center of power. Yet in recent days, his behavior has been unusually conspicuous. Most striking was his sudden public display of loyalty to the party's top leader, an act that immediately drew sharp criticism online. On September 17th, at a symposium marking the publication of party leader Xi, The Governance of China, Volume 5th, Cai Qi declared that the most important task was to uphold the decisive significance of the 2 establishes and to follow the 2 safeguards. Political jargon to signal loyalty. He went further, praising Xi's wise reflections on the grand logic and trends of human development. At first glance, this might seem like routine party speak, but in context, it is deeply unusual. Just months ago, after Xi was widely reported to have lost real power, Cai Qi was among the fastest of the Standing Committee members to pivot away, quietly realigning himself with party elders to secure his own position. In the language of Beijing insiders, he jumped ship almost overnight. For that same man, now suddenly to flatter party leaders so extravagantly, suggests desperation. It is as if Cai is trying to protect something, perhaps even someone. To ordinary observers, it looks like overcompensation. To seasoned party watchers, it looks like fear. And here lies the contradiction. Cai Qi's political survival has always depended on reading the winds. He is known as a bureaucrat who bends quickly to new masters, from his early years in Zhejiang under Xi to his current status at the center. But Yu Menglong's case has forced Cai into a corner. If Cai Qi is indeed his illegitimate son, then every new detail threatens to destroy not only his political career, but also the fragile balance of power at the very top. This explains why Cai is suddenly using the most public stage possible to declare loyalty. It is not just a message to the party leader. It is a plea to the system itself. At Cai Qi's direction, both Beijing police and the Cyberspace Administration moved with unusual speed. On September 20th, the Cyberspace Administration announced a 2-month campaign under the banner of Clear and Bright. Officially, it was aimed at stamping out malicious incitement of hostility and the spread of negative emotions. Yet the wording left little doubt about its true target. The growing number of netizens linking Cai Qi to Cai Yijia and demanding accountability, promoting violent sentiment, in practice meant millions of citizens relentlessly demanding justice and evidence for Yu Menglong. For a regime that never admits wrongdoing, the reflex was familiar: silence the truth with force. Another statement singled out Cai Qi and Weibo for failing to maintain content discipline. Executives were summoned for warnings, ordered to impose stricter controls, and threatened with punishment. Earlier, Xiao Hongshu had already been penalized. Together, these moves amounted to a coordinated effort across all platforms. This campaign has quickly become known as the strictest censorship order in the history of the Chinese internet. For years, sensitive events have triggered waves of censorship. From Dr. Li Wenliang's warnings during the pandemic, to the Urumqi fire protests, to the White Paper movement. Each of those moments shocked the world, but at least fragments of truth slipped through before the crackdown came. His name vanished from Weibo searches within seconds. Videos were deleted as fast as they were uploaded. Entire accounts were frozen. Even coded nicknames and homophones, tactics netizens have long used to outsmart censors, were erased almost instantly. The scale of this operation reveals the stakes. This was not a routine information cleanup, but a political emergency. It shows that the system regards the exposure of Yu Menglong's ordeal not merely as a threat to stability, but as a direct threat to the leadership itself. And the fingerprints of Cai Qi are everywhere. As the Politburo member in charge of propaganda, the censorship machine ultimately reports to him. By launching such an unprecedented blackout, he has deepened public suspicion that he is not simply managing the crisis, but protecting his own bloodline. What is most striking is how ordinary citizens have reacted. Instead of retreating into silence, many have begun posting on overseas platforms, sending clips to exile media, and finding creative ways to bypass firewalls. Each deletion inside China has been mirrored by a repost outside China, creating a cycle of resistance that censors cannot fully control. For the party, this case has become a nightmare. On September 21st, Beijing police issued an official notice. The announcement was swift and blunt. Yu Menglong, it said, had died from an accidental fall while intoxicated. The same notice also declared that 3 women, aged between 29 and 41, had been arrested for spreading rumors online. The authorities chose to criminalize those who questioned the official line. By focusing on punishing rumor mongers, the police effectively turned the victims into suspects and the whistleblowers into criminals. For many Chinese citizens, this was the last straw. The idea that young women posting online could be targeted with criminal charges while the powerful figures linked to Yu's ordeal remained untouched struck people as both absurd and chilling. It reinforced a familiar lesson. In China's system, those who speak up are punished more severely than those who commit the crime itself. What makes Yu Menglong's case different is the intensity of the response. This was not a local police statement. It was a centrally orchestrated operation designed to close the case and intimidate the public in one move. The notice did not even attempt to explain the inconsistencies in Yu's death. It simply declared the matter resolved. Yet, instead of calming public anger, the notice backfired. Social media users flooded comment sections with coded protests. Overseas platforms saw an immediate surge of new uploads. Videos, screenshots, and testimonies, all documenting what had happened. Rather than silencing the outrage, the police action poured fuel on the fire. For the regime, this is the most dangerous outcome of all. The attempt to seal the case has only convinced more people that there is something to hide. According to insiders in Beijing's propaganda system, the regime's next move is already in motion: to smear Yu Menglong himself. The strategy appears twofold. First, release ambiguous leaks and fabricated inside stories, mixing truth with lies. Once public opinion becomes confused, roll out a coordinated wave of debunking, labeling all independent investigators as rumor spreaders. Second, distort details of Yu's private life, twisting his words or inventing behaviors, and shift blame away from the real perpetrators. This playbook is not new. Similar tactics were used during past crises, creating distractions, overwhelming the public with conflicting information, and then declaring the official version the only truth. What is new is the scale. In Yu's case, the propaganda machine is preparing not just to silence discussion, but to rewrite the victim's image altogether. Violence and lies may appear powerful in the short term, but in the long term, they erode the very legitimacy the system is trying to protect. Beijing authorities even cleared away the flowers that fans had placed outside the building where Yu lost his life. Yet something remarkable happened. As the flowers were burned, the smoke rose into the sky, swirling in the wind, lingering as if carrying Yu's grief and unspoken voice. 2 days after Yu's passing, on September 13th, Beijing was struck by violent storms and hail not seen in 40 years. Trees were ripped apart, cars dented, and streets piled high with ice. Many citizens said it felt as though heaven itself was angry. And on September 22nd, lightning storms lit up the skies over Xinjiang. Locals said it was as if their little prince, Yu Menglong, was returning home. The tragedy of Yu Menglong is more than a single case. It is a mirror reflecting China's deeper contradictions. Despite suffocating censorship, the people's pursuit of truth and justice has become a force that cannot be ignored. Even under relentless suppression, ordinary citizens have refused to look away. Their anger, their grief, and their insistence on answers are signs of something greater. A revival of conscience, a reawakening of moral courage. At the same time, across the Pacific, the sudden death of a young American figure, Charlie Kirk, sparked its own wave of debate. Two men of the same generation from two different nations, each taken too soon. Their lives were different, but their deaths shook the conscience of their societies. For China, Yu Menglong's case is a test of truth, justice, and the limits of power. Together, we wait for the day when truth will burst forth, when the call for justice will rise freely into the sky, and when a renewed China will emerge, built not on fear, but on conscience. Justice for Yu Menglong. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.